Hey guys, welcome back to Bad Days. My name's Hassan. This is the show where we talk about how your bad days are your best stories. This week, I discovered something terrible, an epidemic that broke loose in my own hometown. I'm from Birmingham, Alabama, here in the old South, and there's several universities that are nearby. One of them being Samford University, which is a Christian private school. Samford University in recent months has been wrought with controversy because they banned gay-affirming churches from campus. So if you're a queer youth and Christian and you go to Samford, you no longer have a safe space, and they went out of their way to show that they're very anti-gay. Huge issue. But I think the bigger problem is they invested in a state-of-the-art podcasting room, which led to dozens and dozens of Samford students who are the most boring, privileged white people on the planet to just start making podcasts.
I'm a shimmy kind of girl, just like that. End of sentences, throw a little shimmy in.
Shout out to Dave Portnoy. Yeah. I love him.
So we're going to not only break down those podcasts, but we're also going to break in to Samford University so we can see this podcast room for ourselves. So today's the day. We're headed to the podcast room at Samford University. That's right. Today's the day. We're headed to the podcast room at Samford University to see what all the fuss is really about. Trying to see what all the fuss is really about. Do you hear that?
Christ, bro.
Do you hear that? Hold on. We gotta see what that is. I think I see the problem. Can you put the car in reverse?
Oh, okay. All right. There we go.
Weather was weird the first day, so we just decided we'd go tomorrow. So the Samford podcast epidemic caused one particular show to pop up right off rip, and that's Sit With Us with Allie Blaine and Hannah Grace. And my first really big issue with the show is the fact that these girls have double names, and I'm tired of it. Okay, my name's Hassan, just Hassan, one name. This girl's name is Hannah Grace. Makes me infuriated. That's like if I went by my middle name too. I'm Hassan Salman. That would be ridiculous. My middle name is Salmon. That's trash. But yeah, looking at their Instagram at Hey Sit With Us over on IG, it looks like it's actually it's Hannah's birthday, the day I'm filming this. So I'm so sorry, Hannah. So when making a popular podcast these days, it's really important to have a good social media presence as a whole, and you start by doing Reels, Shorts, TikToks, and all that. So let's start by breaking down some of the videos they post over on Instagram.
I'm a shimmy kind of girl at all times. End of sentences, throw a little shimmy in. Like, you get a text from me, it's probably the dancing emoji, as a substitute for
That's
shimmy.
so true. It is all of the time. Mm-hmm. Literally today, she was like, I'm running late. Shimmy.
Okay, how did you record a full hour and 15-minute podcast and the only clip that you could make of it is about the emoji you drop at the end of your text messages? That's crazy. Also, immediately, these might be the most boring people that have ever existed on the planet. Yeah, I don't like that.
I really wish I took my ADHD medicine this morning.
Okay, do you want to chug your Coke real quick?
That's so random. But honestly, I think that's the best part of this pod. High five.
Allie Blaine, I agree with you. I have ADHD, and it's really hard to film this, and my editor Chris knows because he sees me flub and re-record lines pretty much constantly, and these videos couldn't be made unless somebody else was doing this because I hate the sound of my voice. So I'm with you there. ADHD makes this really hard. I like that they're sharing bloopers. Makes it more human. Makes it kind of even more professional to have bloopers. It also shows that you take the time to edit them out, which points for professionalism. You guys are killing it.
Dancing with the Stars is back, and I can't stop watching it. And Hannah, I'm waiting. You know what I'm waiting for? I'm waiting for Dancing with the Average People.
So this tells me again that this podcast might be great for women and people that are like the same age range and probably people who live in the same town as them. For me, not interesting at all. I only like Dancing with Stars that one time that Carlton from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air was on there because he did the dun dun dun, the Carlton dance, and I like that a lot.
We're going around Samford and asking people this one question.
What brings you joy? All right, who am I here with?
And Claire Hannah.
No! You get one name, okay? Hannah Grace gets 2. You're not getting 3. Also, she's using her cup as a microphone, and the crazy thing is, I've checked out their YouTube channel already, and they literally have the most expensive lav mics ever, and they used it to film carpool karaoke, but not to interview people?
Midnight! Hannah has matched with someone in one of our classes before, and he sent her
I matched on dating apps!
I
did it for the giggles. I'm sure he did too.
Can you imagine if you're this guy and you just had a crush on Hannah for months? She's been in your class. You've been trying to find it, and you match on a dating app, but you're nervous. You slide in with a little bit of a homework text, which, I think that's it's some riz, And you just broke his heart. You said you did it for the giggles. What about this man's lively? What about his integrity? But also, props to you guys for actually talking about dating apps, because that's kind of cool versus a podcast we're going to break down later. It's epic foreshadowing. You could put that around me, Chris. When doing research on this topic, I decided to really do my due diligence, kind of break down all of their social media presence. So I looked at one of the hosts, Allie Blaine, and I was like, oh my God, 10,000 followers and striving to serve Jesus as well as others. Great. Except when I tapped on old Allie's post, it became very clear to me, based on like counts, that old Allie Blaine may have actually bought the followers. Not 100% certain, but as a person with an internet presence, I gotta say, lots of people buy followers, but it's not the best look, and companies and brands down the road may not like you. And hey, maybe Sit With Us will end up becoming a smash success. That was Sit With Us at Hey Sit With Us on Instagram, and I think it's fine. It's not particularly interesting in any way, shape, or form. Maybe if you're their friends or you're their core demographic, this could be a really interesting thing, and you can't deny. They have a lot of bits in their podcast, long-running segments like musical moments and things like that. So, there's stuff to appreciate in there, and that they're actually doing the craft of podcasting, unlike some of the other awful monster degenerate people we're going to be covering today. I read an article that said Samford University spends $1 million a year on lawn care. I believe the article. As I walked out into the quad, the heart of the campus, one thing was very clear to me, and it terrified every fiber of my being.
There's a lot of white people. That's kind of all I see.
We continued our journey through the campus and really admired this $1 million lush, beautiful, bright green grass. Wow, stunning, amazing. You guys killed it.
Okay, tell me what you said about that statue again.
And here we see the Sigma Nu Cum Beeson statue. Every year during Hell Week, we have the Sigma Nu haze. They each haze each of their pledges and have them circle jerk onto the Beeson statue.
They come and jerk off on the statue of this old man?
Yeah.
I was appalled, disgusted, and maybe even a little bit jealous.
And then every tour has to go, and they all have to take a picture with them right after.
And now we're on to our second podcast, Dry, Blunt, and Blonde. And I can't stress how much I don't like this podcast. I don't like these people. They're all kind of awful. Dry, Blunt, and Blonde is hosted by Maggie Abbott, local business owner who in literally every bio and every place and multiple times during the podcast, she talks about how she's a CEO of her own small business. I'd like to go ahead and explain to you guys why she has that, because she says it in the show. Daddy bought her a business. This is the prime example of daddy's money. She talks about how other people have different upbringings and wonders why their parents didn't open companies for them, because it was so easy for her dad to do it for her. We're in for a treat, guys. So episode 1 of Dry, Blunt, and Blonde, the episode description is hi with 5 eyes. Welcome to Dry, Blunt, and Blonde. Join Maggie Corbett and Leighton Gripe as they talk about age gap siblings, dating fails, and Karens in the workplace, and an Auburn rodeo. That's a fucking run-on sentence. Chris, we have to come up with a visualizer for this because they didn't have a video of this episode up. But for the second episode, they have a video.
Speaking of being single parents, we both have dating apps. So I have Hinge and Leighton has Tinder, and that leads to some interesting interactions with people. So I personally just have Hinge to mess with people. Speaking of single parents,
I don't know where that's going, because she said speaking of single parents after saying mess with people, which is already the meanest thing I think I've ever heard. It's very hard to be a single parent. It's very hard to put yourself out there on a dating app. Also, the fact that it's I'm using Hinge and dating apps just to manipulate and mess with people. Not my favorite thing I've ever heard.
I matched with him just as a joke or whatever. And he had been oh my gosh, you're so gorgeous or whatever. And my response to that was, are you looking for a stepmom for your daughter?
They don't want to say that they're looking for love, even though it's the most human pursuit in the world. And they're very ashamed of the fact that they're on dating apps because they also spend all of their time at bars partying and frat parties. And, those are the places to find true love. So why are they even on dating apps?
He's I'm looking for a positive role model in my daughter's life. Do you want to go on a date? And I'm dude, I just told you about how I took my 10-year-old sister to frat parties. At the time, she was probably 8.
You took your 8-year-old sister to a fucking frat party? Why the fuck would you do that? Frat parties are known for just a couple things down here in the South. Sexual assault and drugs. So why would you take a child into that atmosphere, Maggie? Why would you take that CEO, Maggie, a small business owner, Maggie Corbett? Why would you take your 8-year-old sister? Also, why would you then go admit it publicly that you did this?
Brooksy does like wild things. Like Brooksy will shotgun Sprites.
Brooksy does wild things. My little sister is so wild, she'll shotgun a Sprite. She's gonna be a wild child just like me because she's 8 years old and we can already see the vision. What are we talking about?
Shotgun and Sprites at the frat house.
Oh, for sure.
That just sounds like a fun Friday.
Shoot around a pong table. She could take some boys and beer pong.
So when listening to this podcast, there's one thing that I noticed. I'm an Alabama boy. I'm a little Southern. I say y'all a little bit. These people say y'all every other word. If I took a shot, forget a shot. If I took a sip of beer every single time, they said y'all. I'm a 195-pound man, and I would be down on the ground in a body bag within an hour because holy crap, they are the least articulate people ever. This whole podcast is stuttering over words, then being awful people, then stuttering over more words.
Yeah, so it was a rough morning.
That sounds very eventful.
Yeah, Sunday scaries.
Love Sundays.
Yeah, peace, love, and Sundays.
What the fuck? Why did they start getting further and further away from the mic?
I'm not really sure what happened, but anyways, thanks for listening. Come back next week. I'll see y'all then.
Okay. They just started to like fade out by accident. What the fuck was that? They're like telling a story and then it's getting further and further away and then they could barely hear them and they were almost quiet and they're silent. Yeah, I don't know what they did there. Walking into this building was unlike anything I'd ever experienced in my life. I'd say it was like Disneyland, but Disneyland doesn't make me this horny.
Oh my god. Close the door, close the door, close the door. I say close it faster. This is the room. Wait. That's it.
I've spent 2 weeks dreaming of this moment. Finally being here was truly cathartic, especially because it's against security's wishes, and that kind of gets me off.
Oh my god. It's... There's so much joy in this.
I'm truly in love with this sound machine. I think I'm gonna steal it. After weeks of work to break into this room, I knew once I got here, I needed to record a podcast all of my own. So I recorded the most profound thing I could think of in that moment.
Penis. Oh, dude.
After uttering that forbidden phrase, immediately I knew they were onto us.
I think they're onto us.
We ran away as fast as we could and feared that we might be caught committing the worst crime you can commit on this campus, being brown. We stopped only briefly to admire the stunning wooden hand-carved portrait of this old dude.
Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Bigotry. This place.
As I finished my stupendous line delivery on that joke, this woman yelled, "Hey y'all." I was so scared I stopped recording and I used my little chicken legs to run as fast as I could. Episode 2 of Dry, Blunt, and Blonde with another guest. Her name is Autumn something. Also, thank God we have a video version of this podcast so we can really get the expression of these people as they talk about some of the craziest things I've listened to in my entire life.
The people don't want this.
Why the fuck is the audio so bad? Oh my God.
You can like, one real quick? I don't know what they do actually.
So 2 seconds into the YouTube channel, I realized that they posted a YouTube video that is recorded on their phone. Even though they're using all this audio equipment, they didn't put the podcast's microphone audio on that. So it's just like an iPhone recording, which is awful. So I'm gonna need to do some finagling here. Hold on. Oh fuck, this is gonna be kind of hard, dude. Oh my God, why the fuck did they do this?
3:28 a.m.
I just spent the last 2 hours re-editing their podcast together because they had a YouTube version with video and then they had a Spotify version. Both versions had different cuts. As you can see here, there are random places where like there is audio but no video, and then random places where there is video but no audio, and vice versa, because they're insane. These are crazy people. They're crazy people. Was that good, Quentin? Was that good energy?
I wish I could have just like ordered you an Uber, but I think like we were too far gone at this point to even like comprehend.
Too far gone on what, Magdalene? Basically, we were going to Uber home.
I called the Uber.
But it was $60.
I didn't care.
$60 for your safety. Not that expensive, if you ask me.
This boy who
he has a crush on me. He's asking us to go to this bar, and we get a little manipulative. We're like, well, let's pretend we want to go to the bar, have him pick us up, and then be like, actually, can you take us home?
Which is what we did.
That's fucked up. I'm going to go ahead and say it. That's not nice. That's not very nice at all.
I have no interest in this boy at all. None. He creeps me out.
Calling him fucking creepy too is like the cherry on top of just being a bad person. Don't manipulate somebody into doing you favors if you don't like them. Obviously, if someone's annoying you, block them. I understand men are awful and they harass women, but don't fucking just lead this guy on. You literally think he's creepy. So everything that you do, every time you communicate with him, you're just like asking for him to bother you more. Just like leave the fucking poor loser alone.
Also, we didn't know that he was drunk, and he should have told us.
Time out. Also, we were talking to a police officer literally like right before that all happened.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, we did, because I said, do you have a BAC? Because I want to like blow on it. And he was like, no, I don't have one.
Super weird and random. She's like asking a cop if she could have a breathalyzer test for fun, I guess.
We're not stupid. We know whoever has to pick me up has to be stone cold sober.
Okay, you seem to have learned this lesson in the middle of your story. The first person you asked to come pick you up was someone you manipulated who was intoxicated. But you manipulated him into coming out. So obviously you're not going to get in any trouble.
The cop comes up, like, it's not long before they put homeboy in cuffs. Like, he's done for. Like, they're towing his...
They put him in cuffs?
Car. I'm crying in the gravel. Like, it's a rough night. I'm in like a really short dress. Like, it's cold outside.
It's a rough night. I'm freezing cold in my little short dress in the gravel, crying while this man that I manipulated is getting sent to jail. And again, he showed up drunk. That's bad. That's awful. I will not even for 1 second be like, oh no, he gets a pass. But he was manipulated into being there by her. And my biggest issue is, look at her face. No remorse. She doesn't feel bad about doing this to this poor fuck.
And he was like in jail until like 5 o'clock the next day.
Yeah, and then he tried to text me and was like, hey, what's up? When he just had gotten out of jail. I'm sorry. What?
You're a monster. This is insane. He went to jail until the morning, and Maggie over here is like, oh yeah, to the morning. That's crazy. There's no morality in these people.
Oh, let's talk about the Barons game and husband scouting.
Yes.
I don't know if you'll know anything about baseball, but me and Autumn, we're baseball connoisseurs. So if you're watching this and you're a baseball player, don't hit Autumn up.
Don't hit me up. Please don't.
But you can hit me up.
Husband scouting. That's the thing with like Southern Alabama people. They're always gunning for their MRS degree, you know?
Maggie's like, oh, I actually think that I Snapchat a guy that like plays for the Barons. Like, that's weird. So she like posts on her story. We leave. He slides up and is like, come to my game and don't even come say hey.
Yeah, I was like, oh, excuse me for not realizing you play for this team.
Is this
what, am I supposed to know you play for the only professional baseball team in the area? What am I, a fucking baseball connoisseur?
The lights are out. That's scary.
Is someone in here? We could get killed.
That would be like the debate teacher who killed the student on the Samford debate team.
Wait,
what?
Maybe we should pause it.
T.
She just said that a debate teacher killed Samford students, and then she ended it with T.
Back recording. That's what the debate teacher was thinking.
He was thinking, what, when he murdered Samford students? What the fuck are we talking about? Also, I really want one of those things. These are kind of cool. What the fuck? They just, in the middle... I'm not making this up. In the middle of talking about the murder, first they play a wah, wah, wah sound. Then they say, that's what the debate teacher was thinking when he murdered the students. Then they start fucking beatboxing for no reason in the middle of this podcast.
A murder warrant was issued Monday for William Lee Slag, 42, a Samford University professor.
People died. Someone got killed in your school by a teacher. That's really messed up. Why are you excited about this?
Who saw in the September 21st slaying of 20-year-old Rexby Copeland T.
That's kind of messed up. I mean, I think we can all agree that's a little messed up, right? I feel crazy. I feel like maybe, hey, these podcasts just aren't for me and I'm being hypercritical or whatever. But then Maggie Abbott opens her mouth. CEO Maggie Abbott, small business owner, super humble Maggie Abbott opens her mouth. And then I hear things. And then I feel like I'm going insane because she's kind of just evil. She's a villain.
Shout out to Dave Portnoy. Yeah. I love him.
Shout out to Dave Portnoy, public kind of low-key monster. He hosts this BFS podcast with Josh Richardson and Brianna Chicken Fry or something like that. Just a laundry list of like allegations and lawsuits and things. He almost got canceled at being the president of Barstool, which is like canceled for being the president of the KKK. Like, you're the president of something that people already hate. Crazy that you managed to fuck up even harder than that.
Yeah.
I would marry him.
Random guy, and I said, "Are you a Sigma Chi?" And he said yes, and I said, "Can a pledge drive us to the grocery?" And he grabbed a pledge and said, "Are you sober?"
Shout out to that dude.
Shout out to that dude. Fuck yeah.
Should we do a little past relationship segment? You know who I can talk about? Lizard.
Lizard? I hate Lizard.
Lizard! I hate lizards! Me too, sweetheart. Lizards fucking freak me out. Also, grocery that they're talking about. It's a bar. They don't say it's a bar. People from Birmingham would not know it's a bar. It's a bar.
At the grocery, I hit a guy.
Who did you hit?
Some guy.
Just admitting to an assault. Continue, please.
She has an issue with hitting people. She has slapped and punched a lot of different guys. She would be what you
call an abusive person. Why would you leave this in here?
Oh, gosh.
Yes.
What the fuck? Was she the lizard?
I hate Lizard. Everybody's financial situation is different, but God blesses you with your financial status.
God blesses everyone in different ways.
Yeah, God blesses everyone in different ways. I was blessed with a home and shelter and money. God is equal. God loves everybody. There's no homeless people are homeless because they don't deserve it, right? Right, guys?
That's just something that's really resonated with me here lately. And then hearing it from a church perspective, it was nice to hear because it had already been heavy on my heart.
That actually makes me so happy that you're saying that. I kind of am low-key getting teary a little bit thinking
when you talk to people who are like this, and I grew up around them. I'm from Birmingham, Alabama. I'm from here. They all do this, where they have this dissociative identity, where they are who they really are when they're partying, when they're drinking, when they're laughing, when they're enjoying. But then they were raised in this little cult, and it's so easy to activate the emotional response from these people. Just the fact that you're I've been thinking about being humble and about how everything I do is for God. And she's like, I'm so glad you're talking about that because I've been feeling the grace of God too. It's no, sweetheart, you're just having a bad week and you're sad or whatever.
Me, not living my life consistently in the way that I know the Lord is pushing me to live, it's heavy on your heart. It's what's sending so many college kids into the depression that we're going into. We were put on this earth for the purpose to serve the kingdom of God. And by not doing that in any which way, it's the toll on your mental health.
Oh yeah, no, the reason for all college mental illness, all depression in the world is in fact that we're not fulfilling our infinite purpose given to us by God to spread the gospel to people who don't fucking want it. What? We're depressed because the people who are in college right now, half of them, 2 years of their college were in a pandemic. They maybe lost their high school era to 2 years of lockdown and being alone. God knows that social media has made just mental health rampancy just so common of being so unwell. It's such a common thread. But, that stuff is whatever when it comes to the kingdom of God. Oh, the Lord Jesus, he welcomes us all, and on this daily bread we eat his bread. No, it's on this day we eat his... God damn it, I don't remember the Lord's Creed at all. If you're depressed, it's just because you're not Christian enough. You notice how there are no Muslims or Jewish people or Hindu people or agnostics or atheists, any of those people that are happy? Only happy people are Christian. Christians are truly the happiest people. You guys ever looked up the Westboro Baptist Church? They seem like the happiest people. You ever looked up 90% of school shooters in America? They seem like the most joyful bunch. Jolly good day. Come on, guys. The sound machine's so cool.
Are we out?
No, I was gonna hit a different
button. Hit another button.
But anyways, remember slay.
Okay.
Bye, peasants.
Call me a peasant? Fuck you! Fuck you, Maggie! What the fuck? I'm a podcast listener. I'm a fan. How dare you call me a peasant? So yeah, that was a lot. I thoroughly did not enjoy it. I listened to both of these episodes a couple of times, as well as my creative director, Quentin, and it was a struggle. He's not from Alabama, so a lot of what he had to say was him just screaming to the ether about how frustrating it is listening to the accent. He said that if we took a shot every single time that they said y'all, we'd basically be dead. But yeah, that was Dry, Blunt, and Blonde, the podcast by CEO Maggie. Breaking and entering is a lot of hard work, and I was hungry, so I asked our tour guide to take us to any restaurant they had on campus. Well, they only had one. I'm not kidding. The only place you could eat on campus was a Chick-fil-A. Chick-fil-A, the company controversially known for being homophobic, at a college campus controversially known for being homophobic. Out of protest, we didn't eat that day.
I think they're onto us.
Being brown and eating God's chicken led Samford police right to us. We knew we needed to find a place to hide.
It's so loud.
What happened next truly broke my heart. I went from world-famous YouTuber Hassan Khadair with 2 million subscribers and 6 million followers on TikTok to just some guy running around what I can only imagine is this campus's version of a dungeon in fear that security would find me and charge me for being brown. So the next podcast we're covering is called That's Hot. I found them in the comment section of Dry Blonde and Blunt or whatever, or Dry Blunt and Blonde, right? Is that what it's called? Dry Blunt and Blonde? I found them in the comment section of a Dry Blunt and Blonde post on Instagram. And safe to say, they have probably the coolest opening of anything I've ever seen. I can't play the music, so we're going to put some stock something over here because it's literally like a Michael Jackson song. Ba, 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 ba. Alright, she's entering the podcasting room. Wait, she slips. Look at her turning on the sound machine. I want one so bad. Yo, it's kind of dope. Very aesthetic video. Big fan of this little piece of content here. All right, let's get to listening. Let's watch. Episode 1 and episode 2 are both paid. You literally have to be a paid subscriber to listen to this college podcast. What the fuck? After our near miss with the Gestapo, we finally made it back out and we're heading towards the exit when we discovered a festival of white people swing dancing was happening on campus. It was truly terrifying. You can't tell from this footage, but I'm shaking and crying. After everything we had just gone through in the dungeon, we thought the horror of this campus was finally behind us. Little did we know, we'd run into the scariest thing known to man. A prison crafted to house people of color and shame them. It's gonna shame the people of color who are in the prison and yeah, don't get caught. They'll put you in this white box. We finally decided to leave this hellish landscape, and you're not gonna believe what happened next. One of Samford's famous podcasters was actually on campus. I had an opportunity to meet these people in real life. So I did what any sane man would do.
T-shirts are 15. T-shirts are 15. You guys have larges? I know.
We have one large.
Okay, cool. I'm gonna buy that.
Awesome.
Cool. Thanks, guys. Appreciate you.
So now that you've listened to me shit on a bunch of smaller podcasts than mine and be just woefully disrespectful and negative towards them, let's bring some positivity into this. So that group of people that I bought this shirt from, they run the podcast club Samich. It's the biggest podcast on campus. People at Samford seem to love it. They have like a little bit of a cult audience, so much that they had an entire booth set up at the thing, and I simply had to buy a shirt. Also, the name of the podcast is Samich, after the two hosts, Sam and Mitchell, and I think that's a pretty fucking good pun. I'm gonna give them that. That's good branding. I appreciate it. But also, they don't eat sandwiches in their podcast. From what I can tell, their podcast has little to nothing to do with sandwiches, and I think that's a missed marketing opportunity. So listen to their show. They got a pretty banging intro, a lot of really fun bits. I think that if you're their friend or you know them on campus at all, you're gonna thoroughly enjoy listening to them. Seriously, whoever's staying on charge of them is killing it with making them stay really consistent, uploading an episode every single week. I'm honestly pretty bad at that. So shout out to that dude. Also, just to stress how popular they are, it's a small college campus podcast and they have nearly 50 positive reviews. That's pretty stellar. There's just one thing that they're missing.
I think if you use AI to write an essay for you, you are a coward.
Shocked sound effect.
Yeah.
We don't have it.
Why don't you have it? I've been to your campus. I've seen the soundboard. Why don't you have the soundboard? So before we close out this video, I think we need to take a second to talk about the school itself, because I learned a lot about it while being there. One of the things being they have a pretty strict moral code on that campus, so much so that if you get a DUI, you get a pretty significant fine. That fine is doubled if they catch you having sex on campus. And then that fine is doubled again if they find out that you are having gay sex on campus. A lot of red flags going on there. Not a big fan of how they run that school. Also, I made a joke about it earlier, but it was incredibly harmful the way that Samford decided to close its doors to several different churches known for being gay-affirming churches. I'm not personally Christian, but I know that faith is really important to a lot of people, and people who go to Samford are more often than not Christian. So they have a church fair at the beginning of every year. You know, regular campuses have a job fair to get a job. Well, what's more important at Samford is getting you Jesus. Okay, that aside, they have a church fair. And because of the new guidelines, if you're a gay student, you can't pick a church that actually respects you or cares about you now because they're banned from campus. Also, apparently somebody was murdered there at some point. Thank you, Dry Blunt and Blonde, for telling us all about it in the kindest, most respectful way possible.
Back recording.
So if you go to the school, your school wastes $1 million a year on lawn care. Your lawn looks horrible. Samford has quite a few problems. It's closer to me, so it's closer to home, so I decided to talk about it here. But it's not unique to that campus. It's very common in a lot of the Christian schools around the country, and it's upsetting. We live in a climate where these schools and their religious beliefs seem to go before caring for people, which is crazy because I'm pretty sure that's like one of the tentpole pillars of Christianity. So, hey, I digress. My name's Hassan. I hope you enjoyed me absolutely ripping a new one to Dry Blunt and Blonde and lightly talking about the other podcasts. I'm now realizing after watching all that footage back, that's what we did. But hey, I hope your bad days are your best stories. And if you're from Birmingham, please don't throw things at me if you see me around in public. I'm sorry if this hurt your feelings, but this is a lot of fun to make, and you guys put the podcast out in public, not me. So I'll see you guys next time.